Hey everyone, this is Bridget, and today I wanted to talk to you about fairy tales. I've been gallivanting around Ireland, and as you can see behind me, we've got castles all around. We have this idea of royalty. We have this fairy tale idealism that just like sparks up. It's just embedded in our cultural myth, our cultural history. So it's got me thinking as I'm driving around the country, what is the true essence, the true energy really behind fairy tales, and how can we update them? How can we bring them forward into our future, but not have it be this thing that constrains us, but actually helps us along in our spiritual evolution and as a culture in the West? So in this particular case, I want to talk a bit about history, because that is what we can draw upon to understand where we came from and how we have our ideas today. So of course castles have been around for thousands of years, but the real individualist nature of the Western world, I feel, really comes out of the Renaissance. In the 15th century, late 14th century, in Italy foremost, and it went beyond that, but there was this change where instead of being under that we are just kind of in the making of God, we are kind of under God. But in that time, during the Renaissance, we became our own creator. We became individually valuable. And not only that, we became fully gifted. It was well-rounded. The Renaissance man in science, in the arts, whatever it would be, is being this kind of godly type of way, standing into your individualism, which is really beautiful because it's when we kind of came into our creatorhood. But that has trickled out in a way to exterior wealth, exterior value. Instead of being a noble man, like a noble person, it is translated into nobility, actually meaning power and control and building giant castles to show your value. So it's gone into an exterior wealth, whereas in the original, I think, beckoning of the Renaissance man, it was the individual value of the person. So present day now we have, in the West, we have this individualism. And so it's cool because in a way we all are our own kings and queens. Even if we don't necessarily own the house, the banks do, we have this illusion, or we have this feeling of owning our own kingdom, our own house, our own carriage, which is our car. And it's really neat because for so many generations, for so many lifetimes, we could have been peasants or under subservient to this royalty, but really we are the royalty. So there is, in a way, even though we're using it as power and control and value, a great change where we all get to be kings and queens. And of course, there is always the house, castle on the hill, but in all reality, it's a transition to all of us feeling our empowerment. And instead of it becoming power, which is what we're expressing right now in our culture, it just needs to return to empowerment. How now can we draw upon the mythic fairy tale lore to help us actually transition into the future in a really holistic way that's beautiful? Because again, it's in our bones, this idea of fairy tale and the king and the queen. And how does this actually transition into our everyday lives as people going to work? You know, how can we use these stories that are archetypally universal and transcend time to assist us in the present time? So the question is, what was the true meaning of the fairy tales, of the kings and the queens, before Disney came in and watered them all down? They were much more complex stories with deeper meaning, actually meant for adults. If we go way back looking at these stories, we arrive back actually at the gods and the goddesses. So it wasn't just about the kings and queens. Before that, it was about the gods and goddesses. And then that trickled down into the royal energy, but it was never that. And so what that means is what the gods and goddesses were representing is this higher state of being, our inner divinity, our inner wisdom, our inner honor, our inner nobility, these higher states of consciousness that ascend us to the throne, to a royal way of being, to this noble place. And so that's really what we want to harness from these stories, is that true inner connection with divinity itself, and not necessarily connected to the exterior expression of that. Though that is one of the ways, of course, to represent our connection to source and our creatorship, and also in communion with nature and with our true inner knowing that's in a full alignment with our integrity. So I love this idea of utilizing this royalty energy as actually going to the next level of consciousness, the next level of our being, where it is a gift that is earned as we transcend to the next level instead of something that we control and harness in a weird way that the Western culture has created it to be right now. And so what do we do now with the idea of the fairy tale running off with the prince and the kings and queen energy? Well, to me, it's all about sacred marriage and the coming together of the masculine and the feminine within ourselves, as Carl Jung talks about. And it's the integration of these two aspects. It's not that we need to seek it outside, but it has always been and always will be within once we cultivate it and bring these two parts of ourselves together, which is a beautiful way of looking at it. And of course, we can have outside expression of that, but really the inner work and the inner royalty, the king and queen, is found within. So I love bringing through these mythic tales into the present time and how we can utilize these symbols to assist us in present day in our ascension process. So if you like videos like this, comment and like below, and thanks for watching.